Hello, Star Wars fans. Hey, today is just 24 days until Christmas 2020, and we are fast paced here at North Pole getting toys ready for the season. And I seem to be having some buffering issues. So you let me know how it's coming across there for you on YouTube. I see quite a bit of jerkiness in the stream here on StreamYard. So let me know if everything's coming across okay. And I'm going to try to get to a couple of things here then, and maybe close some applications so that the streaming will get a little bit better. So with that being said, I want to, hey, hello, Callisto, welcome, and Gray. Hello. Yeah, very gidgety. Thanks, Gray. Yeah, I've been trying to shut down some stuff here. So I planned on opening up, and I'll change my plans here just a little bit. I planned on opening up by playing this YouTube video of David Prowse in doing the lines for Vader. And of course, we learned over the weekend Darth Vader, the actor who was in the suit for the original trilogy, David Prowse, passed away, and I wanted to do this as a little bit of a tribute to him. If you haven't seen these videos, I put a link in my description here. Go back and watch the video of David Prowse delivering the lines with his British accent. It's only a minute 40 long. And actually, the first part of it is all you need to see, about the first 30 seconds or so of the video. And it's fantastic to see David Prowse delivering Vader's lines in suit as they were filming the scene. So I'll go ahead and close this YouTube window. That may open things up for us a little bit. Mike Porter, welcome. Thanks for joining, and hopefully we can eliminate some of the jerkiness in the video. Let me know. Yeah, Callisto, it's pretty bad. Yeah, Captain Pennsylvania, hello. See what I did there? Yes, thanks a lot, Captain Pennsylvania. Yo, 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 I did see it. Very good. And Dale Erdman, hello, thanks. Yeah, hopefully we can get this stream a little bit better. Xavier Meyerless, hello, welcome again. Thanks for joining. Good to see you here. There's an article that came out this morning, and again, I've kind of changed the order up a little bit because I want to see if I can open up the bandwidth. Dale, thanks. It's playing fine for you. Good. So maybe closing that YouTube window help. I'll try to get these two closed as well so that we can get into the review of the episode chapter 13, season 2, episode 5 of The Mandalorian. So this article came out this morning on Vanity Fair, and it's a fantastic article. There's a great interview here with Rosario Dawson and Dave Filoni. Again, the link to this article is in the description. You can find it here. They've got some great photos, and there's a fantastic description. And why I was really impressed with the interview, because they ask a lot of the questions that fans have then since kind of brought up. One of them being about Rosario and her legal battles on the transgender suits that were up. And if you haven't been following that, Rosario and her mother were sued by somebody who had lived with them for some time. And there were 20 some odd, I think exactly 20 lawsuits filed. 18 of those, the person has withdrawn. No compensation. There was no out-of-court settlement there. He simply withdrew them. There are 2 remaining. That's against Rosario's mother. And so those aren't regarding Rosario at all. And the court is expected to decide on moving those forward within the next couple of weeks here. So it's at early December. So within the next week or two, we'll be getting there. Captain Pennsylvania is so far behind. 6 more seasons of Clone Wars. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they're absolutely worth catching up on, my friend. Getting through the Clone Wars is fantastic. And then if you can get through Rebels, then that'll add even more to the depth of what you're seeing in these episodes. We'll go into some of it here today. But going through this article, they ask a lot of the questions about how Rosario was picked to be Ahsoka Tano. And I know the fans, really, a lot of them are upset that Ashley Eckstein wasn't cast as Ahsoka. And would she be doing voiceovers, or would Rosario be trying to impersonate Ashley's voice to some degree to keep that continuity there? And so there's some talk about that and how Dave Filoni selected Rosario, and it did actually come from a fan casting. It was great to see in this interview that Rosario mentioned that it was fan cast entirely, and she was super excited to get to play the role. And then she actually went to school. I thought this was interesting. They talked about this connection here, and she went to school. Acting school with Hayden Christensen. They were in the same class together. I thought that was fascinating. So now you get Ahsoka Tano, Anakin's youngling, together with Rosario Dawson, and Rosario has this connection back to Hayden Christensen. Really good information there. And it talks about creating Ahsoka's look. And there was some debate about this, about her montrals not being long enough. What we saw in Rebels, of course, through the life of Ahsoka, those montrals would continue to grow, right? And we see in Rebels that they're quite long. And then when we see her here, they're shorter, closer to the length that they were in the Clone Wars. And Dave Filoni talks about that. They did a lot of testing. Reefer Man Reviews, hello, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Thanks so much. I appreciate you stopping by. It was fantastic to see Ahsoka in live action. We'll get there in just a second. Again, I want to close these windows so that we can get to the review and maybe get rid of some choppiness. I'm still seeing choppiness on my end. Hopefully you guys are not going through that as much. Trinity, thanks for joining. So Dave talks about going through these, and there was some discussion about should her montrals have been longer, and he talks about why they're not. So he even considered not putting colored contacts in Rosario so that her eyes would not be blue, and just explained that this version of Ahsoka doesn't have blue eyes and her montrals are shorter. But thankfully, they went with the blue contacts, and Rosario accepted those well. She was super excited for it. And they talk about she was there when that photo was taken of George Lucas holding the child. She was actually in full Ahsoka getup the day that was taken. She was just off screen where you couldn't see her. Polyhedral Paradise. Hello. Thanks for joining. So just a fantastic interview here. Here's the George Lucas encounter. She talks about having that, meeting him on set. And there's that photo I think we're all familiar with that George Lucas took holding the child. Rosario is just out of frame here, a complete Ahsoka attire. So this is how long they've been working on it. And she talked about getting Ahsoka's mannerisms. They talk about Ashley in here just a little bit. Here's the controversy about her and those lawsuits. And it just goes on and on. So I highly encourage this article. It's really, really good. And I think that we'll probably see a lot of YouTube discussions about it in the coming days. So there's a lot of discussion here. And certainly some people will take the opportunity to make some controversy of it. But I think they did a good job here of talking about the role that Ashley played in bringing Ahsoka to life, and how Rosario's just taking that mantle up. And certainly Dave Filoni, the creator of Ahsoka, right? She's his character, the one that he has babied. And for him to say that he's had Rosario #1 on his list to portray Ahsoka in live action should settle some of the fan debate about it. Certainly, Dave Filoni cares about Ahsoka, and he has a great admiration for Ashley. And as fans, we shouldn't be, fighting that much with Dave over his direction in live action. Gray. The Leku Montrose was the same size they were when she was 14. They could have gone through and edited with some cuter. I agree they could have done that, but they wanted it to be just the prosthetic. They could have put some extra money into adding the digital effects, but I think Dave decided instead to go with more of the physical effect, and for it coming off more authentic that way. Mark Hamilton, welcome. So I encourage you to read this article by Vanity Fair. Again, the link is in the description here. And then lastly, before we get to the review of the episode, we'll talk about Mando-Monday. Now, Mark contacted me just before we came on and said there's not a lot released today. And I agree. If we look at the featured products that'll be on sale 4 p.m. Eastern today. A lot of these you can purchase today. Some are pre-orders. We'll cover that in just a moment. But there's not a lot to grab onto. The first being the Mandalorian Red Funko. I'm not sure that where the connection is to the Mandalorian in this red Funko Pop. Are we going to see a Mandalorian in red garb? Or is this just a Funko one-off? It's just for them to sell some merchandise. I suspect it's the latter. I don't think we're going to run across a fully red-clad Mandalorian this season, but let's find out, right? Mark. No Black Series or Vintage Collection. No new things released today. That's true. There's a T-shirt, watch. There's some. This alternate reality experience drop #2. So again, this is harkens back to that old game everybody was doing with Pokemon, right? Where you go the augmented reality, where you would find characters as you traveled about. It's the same idea here. So they've added another extension to that. Some other characters to go find if you're into that kind of thing. There's some holiday pajamas. We've seen this plush before, but it's available now for pre-order. These tennis shoes with the child on them, again for juniors, that's fine. The Child Real Moves plush by Mattel, available for pre-order at 4 p.m. Eastern today. Not a lot of great stuff here. And then we keep going. Here's a nice Mandalorian. In 1/6 scale, just the bust. This one looks pretty nice. If we look at the detail here, he has a decent amount of they don't even have it here to look at ahead of time. So, but you can see here he's got the flame shooter on his wrist activated. If there's that, we have an IG-11. Kind of painting here, the T-shirt and an Adidas T-shirt. And there's a couple of other things we've seen before. Hello. Am I back? We had some internet. Let me know. Let me know if you can hear me. Hey, I'm back. Okay. Well, our internet here at the North Pole went completely down, completely crashed, and it's back up now. So we're back on. Sorry about that, everybody. Internet issues at the North Pole. It's snowing outside, and probably something connected to that. So, good. It's so good. We have 8 people still with us. Thank you so much for staying here through our outage. We're back on. I want to bring up now, we can get into the review. Now, just a warning, we are going to be spoiler heavy. Spoiler heavy. So if you haven't watched the episode yet, I just want to let you know that we're going to be going deep into the discussion, and we'll be talking about a lot of things. So, we were just getting into the toys. Look, Mando-Monday today is a bit disappointing, especially coming off of such a huge episode. I am thrilled to death to see this poster that came out. Every week we get the Character of the Week poster. This one is fantastic. It's absolutely great. And you can see here featured the helmet design that Ahsoka's troops had, as well as we've got a trooper helmet kind of busted back there in the artwork. But look at that, Rosario looking quite intense. So it's fantastic. I've been waiting for this one, and I am super excited. I think that these posters should be for sale, and I've not yet seen where you can go and buy them. But it's great to see these. And then, of course, we got our synopsis with the release. It says, the Mandalorian, of course, Din Djarin, journeys to a world ruled by a cruel magistrate who has made a powerful enemy, and that's the Jedi. So this, I absolutely love it. I think they did a great job, and it's so good to see Ahsoka in live action. Of course, here again, as we mentioned just before, the Montrails are quite a bit shorter. Captain Pennsylvania, don't know why she has 2 white lightsabers. The suspense. Well, I'm not going to ruin it for you, Captain Pennsylvania, but there is a reason given, and it comes along the way. So we will. You have that to look forward to. It's very, very good. Mike Porter, Grogu is his name. Yes, we're going to get there. So let's go through here. It opens up, and I thought it felt very Game of Thrones-ish. Just the intensity and the violence that we get with Ahsoka slashing through these guards as she's going through the woods. It's very foggy. And here, I'll go ahead and try to share this a little bit larger so you can see more of the images. And some of it is very, very intense. I thought it was fantastic. And for a lot of these folks that have been asking for more adult-like content from Star Wars, I think this episode delivered on it in spades. One criticism that I have is that it did seem to have very slow pacing. The dialogue exchanges are very slow. The scenes as they play out, very slow. The action scenes are fine, but it just, as it goes, it just took forever and forever. Yeah, there are absolutely. So, Will, this is right down your ballpark. It's perfect. There are a lot of side-by-sides where you see this samurai movie called Ronin, where the shots are scene by scene with it. Yeah, absolutely. So I thought this was really good. And then there's this other scene here where Ahsoka stands in front of this tower. Now, if you watched Game of Thrones, there's a similar scene where she arrives at the gate and they've got this hostage held at the top, and they threaten to do harm, and they end up killing the hostage. And I was afraid it was going to go the same way here that we saw in Game of Thrones It does not, but it is very reminiscent of her standing at the bottom and being told, "Hey, we're going to make life terrible for these people if you don't quit what you're doing." So Ahsoka, of course, says that it's already terrible for them. We're not going to change. I put this scene in here because there's in that article I mentioned from Vanity Fair, Dave Filoni mentions that this some of the scenes were a bit of a tribute to the fires that have been in California where he lives. He has been evacuated, I think he said 3 years in a row. And when he goes back, there's this fire devastation that has gone through the forests, through the woods. And he wanted to kind of encapsulate that in this scene. So I wanted to include it here to just to talk about how cool it is that Dave is kind of giving homage to those fires there in real life, right? So that was really good. Mando then arrives on scene. So it opens with Ahsoka slashing her way through, and then she gets this ultimatum: "Hey, you got to give up, or we're going to harm these people." Din arrives with the Razor Crest, lands, and comes up to the city walls. He comes inside, and this, again, I know the movie Ronin, but maybe more people might be familiar with the animated series of Legends of Korra. In the Legends of Korra, the Earth Kingdom, the queen of the Earth Kingdom, had an outer courtyard or village where the living conditions were terrible. She was terribly harsh with them, and they had no resources. And that's what this reminded me of as well. And you see just the terrible living conditions. Nobody wants to talk to him because there could be consequences from the lady that's kind of running the place, right? And that's, again, why it reminded me of Legends of Korra and how that came across. And then you see these people being tortured out here in these rings, and if they move too close to the ring, they get electrocuted. And so they've got to kind of balance themselves on that pedestal without getting shocked. And you could imagine as they stand there over time that they begin to tire, they get weary. And as they do, then they tip to one side to get shocked again and have to stand again. So this would be excruciating, absolutely excruciating torment. And we do see later that she says to kill them. So here we go into the inner courtyard. Again, very reminiscent of Legends of Korra and the Earth Kingdom there. And our magistrate is standing inside here. One thing that we learned in the last couple of days is that it's the hairdresser that worked with her character revealed to us that she was a survivor of Dathomir. Now, what does that mean? Dathomir is where the witches of Dathomir, or also Maul, the planet where they came from. And the witches of Dathomir, was she one of the Dathomir citizens that's a survivor? Or is she perhaps somebody that was involved in the siege, the destruction of Dathomir? Was she involved as part of that destructive force? I see a lot of people jump to the conclusion that she might be a witch of Dathomir. She might have some dark force powers. But I put a pause on that. I didn't see any evidence that she's force sensitive in any way, but it did. That reference could just mean that she was part of the assault on the planet and that she's a survivor of that. And then you do get this droid in the background holding the Beskar staff. And we see more about that as it comes through. It's 100% Beskar, and she uses that as then ransom for going and killing Ahsoka. And so she kind of makes that deal with Din Djarin. Again, very reminiscent, I think, of Legends of Korra. That's how it came across to me. So she's in her courtyard there, and on the outside, we see Din having this conversation with one of the lieutenants underneath this Dathomirian ruler. They're kind of waiting it out to find out who's going to win this battle. And here's where we get Michael Biehn. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, wondering about Michael Biehn. Would he be in multiple episodes? What might he play? The initial rumors were that he was going to be a regular in the series, but we learn in this episode that he is just a general there, and he kind of executes according to this magistrate's desires. And they waited out, and so Michael Biehn character, we'll come back to him in just a moment. Hey, oh, looky here. We have Music Major. My daughter, Kayla, has joined us here, and she's staying here after Thanksgiving. She just came down to help us with some of our Christmas decorations. She's working on classes here in the room with me. So it's good to have her here. So for those of you familiar with her, she's joined us here in the chat. And then Polyhedral. A question: did Ahsoka get the info out of her that she wanted, or did she behead her? It seems that she got the information she wanted. Says she got what she deserved. And we'll get there in just a second. I don't want to jump too far ahead. I know you guys have lots of points you keep bringing up, and you guys keep bringing up Grogu, right? The child. The baby Yoda, he has a name-o, and it's Grogu, right? Grogu, right? There you go. To the tune of bingo. There he is. So we'll get there in just a moment. So I wanted to bring up. So Din goes out to find Ahsoka, and in this scene, up in the corner, you can see this owl, and there's been a lot of speculation. Is this the spirit animal that travels with Ahsoka? Was this a nod to that? And I got this enhanced photo. Again, this came from our friend here. He posted this on Discord chat with me. We talked about just one second here. Yeah, Mark Hamilton posted this, and you can see this tail coming down from the owl. So this tail is a sign that where you see that the animal itself has this like braided tail, and it appears that they have included that in the live action. Now there's some elements of this enhanced photo to me that don't look like it's the same animal. Specifically, you can see the nice ring around its side like you would have in a great owl, and perhaps that's what they used. And we don't see that same sort of ring here. So in the Convor, right? That's right, Dale. So in this Convor, and Mark says, of course it's the Morai. Who else would it be? A lot of people are saying that it is the Morai, that it is her spirit animal. I'm just pointing out that I see some differences. Now, does that mean that it's not the Morai? I don't think so. Is it conclusive evidence that it is the Morai? I don't think so. I think it is likely to be the Morai. They're very tightly associated. This Convor and Ahsoka are very tightly correlated, and we see it appear every time we get an appearance of Ahsoka, especially in Rebels. And I know Captain Pennsylvania haven't gotten there yet. It's coming. It's coming, my friends. Stick with it. You'll find out more about this Morai, the Convor, and Ahsoka, and this relationship they have. Of course, this represents the light side daughter that embodied this Morai following that episode. So, yeah, Dale, it's headcanon at least, right? It's headcanon at least. Until we get absolute proof, it's absolutely headcanon. I think there's enough evidence here to support that it is. But again, we don't have conclusive evidence just yet. Is Morai a woman, in and out? That's so the spiritual embodiment of the daughter. So there's an episode in the Clone Wars, and it's coming up for you there, Captain Pennsylvania. There's an episode where Anakin is called to take the place of the father, and this balance between the light and the dark. And the daughter is the light side power, the son is the dark side power. And throughout the episode, they have this kind of battle going back and forth, and the father maintains the balance. Well, during the episode, Ahsoka ends up being injured and she does die. And then the daughter gives her life to bring Ahsoka back to life. There's a good example that we see in Rise of Skywalker as well, where there was this Ben gave his life to back to Rey so that she could live. And so we see this in the Clone Wars animated series as well, where the daughter then manifests her spirit animal to protect Ahsoka, and she becomes this Morai, and you see it show up over and over again. And it travels with Ahsoka everywhere Ahsoka goes. You'll see it circling above. You'll see it showing up on a limb. You'll see it showing up somewhere in the scene. So there's that tight association between Ahsoka and this Morai following this event. And so that's the assumption here, is that this is the Morai embodiment of the daughter. So it is a daughter in her spiritual manifestation. So it's not a woman in an owl. It's the spirit of a woman in the form of an owl, is how I understand it. So yeah, lots of owls in right. The night owls. All right. The daughter manifests spirit animal. Right. The night owls are those who travel with Sabine and Bo-Katan, specifically. So there's that. So discussion there. I do think that is likely the Morai. We just don't have proof, and there are some differences. Landon Dubs, welcome. Thanks for joining us as we go through the in-depth review of the last episode of The Mandalorian. So following that, we do get a fantastic little battle here. So there was a little bit of question when Din finds Ahsoka, would they fight similar to like he did with Cara Dune when they first met, or would it be completely peaceful? And you do see that there is a bit of a struggle. We get a couple of great scenes here. The Beskar, we learn, can resist lightsaber attacks. So he puts his arm up. The Beskar protects him from Ahsoka's lightsabers. And then he turns and shoots the flamethrower at her. They have this short battle, and he quickly realizes that this is not going to go well and says, whoa, Bo-Katan sent me here. I'm searching for your help. And so she backs off and doesn't continue. So yeah, how the sabers shine, right? The reflectivity, all of that's just fantastic. Exactly. So so they have this short battle, and then there's a lot of discussion about Grogu, and I tried to capture here wherever there was a lot of dialogue that supported the story. I wanted to show it here. Ahsoka has this mental connection with Grogu, and the child. When we learn his name, says Grogu and I can feel. Let me remove that banner. You guys know this is spoiler heavy, right? Grogu and I can feel each other's thoughts. So they're communicating through the Force, and Din responds back, Grogu, and she says, yes, that's his name. And then there's a lot of disposition. I'll go ahead and put it up here. And I think this is important. Part of the discussion when we understand what's going on. She tells us at the end of Clone Wars, when the Empire rose to power, Grogu, was hidden, and someone took him from the temple. Just a quick reminder, Grogu is approximately the same age as Anakin. They were born at the same time period. They could be exactly the same age or just weeks or months apart. So Grogu, it says he was at the temple, and that he had been trained by many Jedi. probably including Yoda, perhaps Yaddle, and others there that were giving classes at the temple. And it says at the end of the Clone Wars, when the Empire rose to power, he was hidden. So Order 66 happens. Anakin goes to the temple and kills all the younglings, right? So Grogu was taken from the temple at that point, and it says, then his memory becomes dark. And what I took from that is that he's going through a little PTSD. He was taken from the temple. His classmates were killed. He perhaps saw many of them being killed as he was being rushed out. And then the question is, well, then who rushed him out? How did he escape? And there's several leading theories. I watched Star Wars Meg. She went through a list of them. She's got a great channel. If you haven't followed her, you may want to check her out. She puts out really good content, but she's playing a YouTube game. Don't get me wrong. Some of it is a little clickbaity, but her content is solid. Really, really good content creator. So if you followed Star Wars Meg, she went through a list of who they could have been. And I think that it could have been the librarian. That's very, very likely that the librarian saw this stuff getting ready to happen or happening, and she grabbed Grogu and off they fled. The other one that I think has somewhat strong possibility would be Yaddle. And let me go back here real quick. Oh, Wu-Tang. You notice I'm not streaming the video anymore. Going to stay off the naughty list. Good to have you here. Yeah, there's, and I see this note about Cal Kestis. I'll come back to Cal in just a moment. And then Drew, I'm not as hardcore as I once was, but I'm not a normie either. Someone who didn't watch Clone Wars, 100% sold on Ahsoka. She looked great. I thought she looked fantastic too. Though I thought Bean was looking a lot like Bob Newhart. Oh no, Michael Bean. Polyhedral. I'm putting money on it. Anakin took it from the temple as a last mercy bet. Whoa. Anakin, I think, is maybe the least likely. So I think the most likely is the librarian, followed by perhaps Yaddle protecting her son. He could be Yaddle's child. It certainly fits. And there's a lot of speculation on him being Yoda and Yaddle's child. That's very possible, although not in any way canon yet. So it could be that. So I take the librarian first, Yaddle second. The third is maybe Palpatine did it himself, knowing that this was going to happen. He was going to have Anakin go and slay the younglings and completely wipe out the temple. Prior to that, he could have taken Grogu out of the temple, hid him away, and this dark period of time happens. This period of PTSD where he has no recollection. So I think there's a strong argument for Palpatine, although he was quite busy. For him to do it, he may have had to have an emissary go do it for him. And who would that be? We're not exactly sure. And then there's some other minor ones. Perhaps Mace Windu was still around, although I think that's very unlikely. And so there's other possibilities out there, but my money goes on the librarian, and if not her, then Yaddle. Mike, so I've seen the movies almost all my life. The animation and books have deeper lore. Exactly. Just finding out and understand how Star Wars can be misrepresented. Sure. And a lot of people over the years, they took that EU content as a form of canon. And there was continuity involved there, but George Lucas, Lucasfilm never did canonize those EU novels. Every now and then, Lucas would find a concept or something that he liked and canonize it by bringing it in. A perfect example of that is Coruscant. Right? Coruscant was created by Timothy Zahn in the sequel trilogy books that he wrote, Heir to the Empire. Right, so Timothy Zahn created Coruscant. Lucas then took that and put it in the prequels. So there's examples like that. Polyhedra, it's going to be a twist. Yeah, I don't think Anakin did it, but hey, Could be a twist. Speculation, does he have a father? No, there's another Yoda. Seriously, if this thing divides of buds, I'll gladly pay for the offspring. Oh, Telemoto. Oh, very good. Mark, definitely could be trauma or could be clouded memory because he was under the influence, manipulated unknowingly by a dark side user. Yeah, I mean, it could be because he was put into some sort of stasis. Could be that he has no memory because he was basically in a coma for a long period of time. But PTSD is somewhat descriptive because he goes back as a youngling somewhat, right? So all of this forced training that he has seems to be selective memory that he brings back as needed, not necessarily that he, I've had this theory that he is 50 years old, that he could speak, that he's been trained, that he may even wield a lightsaber at some point. I thought that might even happen in this last episode, but with him suffering from what I'm going to go with PTSD, he has selective memory. And so he can't remember everything that has happened. He suppressed those memories. And the reason that he's acting the way he is and coming across as like a toddler age child is because those memories are being suppressed. He's in a defensive mechanism to protect himself from those memories. So that's where I'm going. Yeah. Let me go back up here. I saw a comment and my Jocasta New. Yeah, Jocasta New is a librarian for those that need her name. Mark, I'm leaning towards Palps, but with Palps tricking Grogu into thinking he's saving him. It could be. Not sure Palps would have. I think he would have used an emissary, and I don't know who the emissary would have been. He is the chosen one. You must see it. Oh, you're trying to stir the pot, Dale. Anybody that says the chosen one's not Anakin is up for a bonk in the nose from other Star Wars fans. It creates a fight. And some people will accept that the chosen one might be Luke, but I think the accepted convention is that it's Anakin. And then, of course, there's this big debate over the chosen one. Is he a Messiah-like figure that brings salvation for all time? Or is this a recurring pattern where a chosen one comes about, restores balance, and then it would go into a state of unbalance again, and you might have another chosen one repeated over time. And even that is somewhat biblical in you have Messiah, like pre-Messiah figures that came up that are a bit of representations of Christ before he came, and then Christ fulfills it. And so there's some pattern for that. But Luke is specifically addressed that Anakin was not to be a Christ figure. And I think it's very clear that Anakin is not a Christ figure, just through his own actions. So anyway, Palp's saying he can save him for the Jedi if he tells him Anakin slaughtered the younglings. I see where you're coming from, Mark. Polyhedral. R2 smuggled him in to Mustafar and Anakin's ship. Oh, R2 put him in the canister there and took him, huh? I don't know. I guess you could say maybe Obi-Wan did, but how would he have that foreknowledge that Anakin? And that was not until they didn't go to Mustafar until after that had already occurred. So I don't know about that. Mark Hamilton. Then the road is open for Grogu to be rescued later on. Yeah. There's still a lot of questions need answered, like where is he now? When we get to the sequel trilogy, where is he? What's going on? And we'll talk about that in just a moment as well. Dale, I think Palpatine's instruction to Vader was to bring the strong ones to scientists and kill the rest. Could have been. Callista, Josh just dropped another Lord Callus lore video, this time on Thrawn. Yes, Callus is fantastic. I highly recommend catching that. And if you've not kept up with the Thrawn novels, now would be a fantastic time to jump into them and see if you can catch up. Wu-Tang, they would have said nothing or blank if he was in a coma, not dark. Dark is a significant term. I agree. I think that he, I think it's PTSD. Will, so again, Cal Kestis, purge, shut him off from the Force, Fallen Order. Yeah, we'll get there in just a moment with Cal Kestis. Drew, it's remember my knowledge lacks about how a young Ezra or young Thrawn emissary. Well, yeah, I'm not sure, and I think Mark here says if an emissary, there's a door open for Mara Jade, again from the original Zahn trilogy. He introduced her character as the hand of the Emperor, and that's absolutely open here. So if it is the Emperor who saved, quote unquote, Grogu from the temple, and he sent an emissary, it absolutely could have been Mara Jade, and that's how they could bring her into canon now and get a lot of fans excited about that. So yeah, I still leave him as the third option behind the librarian Jocasta and Yaddle, but there you have it. Dale, the Grand Inquisitor, Vader himself, and yes, hidden by Jocasta, quite possibly. You know what's fun is we get to talk about this and speculate, and there's no wrong answer yet. Mark, Mara in the Filoniverse makes more sense if they're going to do Luke. I agree, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. Not Luke or Anakin. Mark Hamill balances the Force. And on from that, Ben could eventually kill Mara at the Jedi Academy. Yeah. Give more context to Luke going into exile. Absolutely. That's all good stuff. Xavier, I guess Anakin is the chosen one because he goes from all the way good to all the way bad and sacrifices it. Yes, exactly. That's exactly it, Xavier. You nailed it. I guess Anakin, I think that's the same one. Yeah, just posted twice. So we get this about his memory being dark. Again, I think that's a period of PTSD. And then Din asks, can he still wield the Force? And Ahsoka replies back, the Force is what gives him his powers. To wield it takes a great deal of training and discipline. Now, a lot of YouTubers have picked up on this to point out again that Rey is a Mary Sue and to pick on the sequel trilogy. Look, folks, that's not me. I think there's a very strong argument why Rey is not a Mary Sue, and it just kind of heats me up. I'm not going to go down that path because I don't believe it. I think there are plenty of in-canon reasons for the differences here, and to use this as a further ammunition to go back and continue to tread on things you don't like in the sequel trilogy is opportunistic for one, and it's a bit of bending information to your narrative, and that's not necessarily the case. And I'm going to just try to avoid that myself. Let's see, Drew. Boba's first bounty and lost him? Oh, no. I mean, I suppose it could have been, but Boba was no friend of the Jedi. That's a good question. Now, 50 years later, he sees Mando with Grogu and wants it back. Not sure. Thanks, Callisto. So I wanted to catch this bit, and now let's move on. So then there's this little test montage where Ahsoka takes a rock, she pushes it, and Grogu catches it, and then she wants Grogu to send it back, and he just drops it on the ground. He won't do it. All right, he doesn't want to revisit that kind of training. And then, of course, Din comes and he first tries it, and nothing happens. And he says, "Well, let me try this control ball that he keeps stealing." Right. Grogu keeps stealing this control ball. He likes it, and he holds onto it. It's a bit of a toy for him. And so Din says, "Okay, you can have it for this," and he holds it up, and you get a very, very strong father-son moment here when it's like, tossing a ball in the backyard. I heard somebody say where Grogu does reach out with the Force and pulls the ball to him, and he goes, "I knew you could do it," right? This proud papa moment, right? He has with Grogu. It's very, very touching, where you see this bond that has formed. And we mentioned about how the characters are evolving and how they're developing over time. And each episode kind of keeps building this bond between them. And here we get to see it. And it reminded me, again, of a scene that we get from the Paper Moon. In Paper Moon, there's a scene where she very much, the orphan girl, looks to this guy as her dad. she even kind of says, like, I think you're my dad. So this bonding happens, and you see this moment happen here as well that mirrors Paper Moon very, very well. So there's that. Mark, how did Grogu get to the Dicto cartel? Oh, there's a lot of mystery here. There's a lot of mystery. Yeah, the throwing the ball in the backyard. Callisto, I thought this was a great showcase, just how well he knows Grogu as well. Exactly. This father-son moment is fantastic. And Ahsoka even mentions it later. I think BTBD even equates it to your kid winning the first baseball game. Yeah, exactly. He's very, very proud. Like, he got his first hit in a baseball game, right? Like, I knew you could do it. I noticed the control ball on the ship had a red glow in the middle, making it look like a Star Killer base. Oh, because of some reflection in it. Neat. I'll have to go back and look at that. Very good, Drew. So let's just continue on. We get, playing catch with these fathers. So we go back, and they devise this plan between Ahsoka and Din to go back to the town. And these scenes here I just captured, these come straight from that movie that we mentioned earlier, the Ronin movie, but they're also classic Ahsoka from Clone Wars. You've seen her stand with her cloak whipping in the wind. This scene of her walking is very reminiscent of the end of season 5 when she walks away from the temple. This is, to me, I was like, oh my goodness, this is straight from Clone Wars. And then you get these nice scenes, again, very Clone Wars-ish. The cross blades here from Rebels, when she runs into Vader again. Vader's red saber is typically in the middle there with Ahsoka's white sabers. And then this classic pose of her and the dual sabers up against another weapon. So I think all of this was fantastic, directly lifted from the artwork that Dave Filoni has done. And he did a fantastic job of bringing it into his live action direction. And the tie-ins with the Ronin movie are absolutely there as well. You can see all of that perfectly. And so we come back. I wanted to readdress Michael Biehn playing this general, and they're kind of waiting it out. Here we get a classic gunfighter sequence. This was, and I can almost assuredly tell you that this was John Wayne's grandson in the suit at this moment. He stands there. He does the little flinch by the gun, like they're going to have this gunfight. They're going to have a shootout, and Michael Bihn's character lays down the weapon, and just as he lays it down, Din kind of relaxes his hand by the weapon, and he thinks this is his opportunity. And we have a quick draw contest. Din wins. He shoots Biehn dead, and this is an absolute gunfighter sequence. Your serial Western embodied in this sequence was perfect, absolutely perfectly executed. Again, my criticism about the pacing of the episode is balanced by just the tremendous content, absolutely tremendous content. Ahsoka, after she interrogated the lady, now there's this question came up. Did she actually get the information? So the question was, where is your master, Grand Admiral Thrawn? Right. So this is where we get the name drop of Thrawn, and we know that, holy moly, we're going to bring him into canon. Something that has existed now for since the very beginning with Thrawn, the Thrawn trilogy with Timothy Zahn. The references that we've had from Zahn in this episode, just fantastic. And here we're going to find out that Ahsoka is still on a quest to find Thrawn, and there was even a scene of that robot having perhaps the emblem of Thrawn's 7th Fleet on its helmet. I'm sure a lot of you have seen that, and it's fantastic. So here she has this Beskar spear, And she goes to give it to Din. Din says, "Oh, I didn't earn it." And she says, "Well, you have." And she gives it to him. Let me go catch this a little bit. I want to catch up. Yeah, Bean played a perfect cowboy in Tombstone. That's why I wanted to see Bean with a recurring role. I thought he would be a great addition to the series. I thought so. Yeah, Mark, I love the end of Paper Moon when the girl runs back to the dad, right? He pretends to be mad, but he's happy. And the girl only says she returns because she wants her $200. Oh, yes. That's, I'm glad you've watched that, Mark, because if you've watched Paper Moon, you can see these parallels, and you see that they're setting it up perfectly to have that kind of thing happen here as well. Really, really good. Mike, I just saw Josh's video. We're going to have to build another wing to the house for more Nerd Avengers into the community. Get more members and numbers. Watch talk about the Mandalorian. This is the way. Yeah. I wanted to just give a little shout out to Josh because, he's been super busy. And as the community grows, I become a much smaller fish in the pond because it's a bigger body of water. And so, I kind of get lost amongst all the other schools of fish. But, as that pond increases, as that lake is being filled, the water rises for all of us. And I am extremely, extremely thankful for the work Josh is doing in building this community, and very much appreciate what it means to me as a content creator and to be part of that community as well. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. Mark, maybe Grogu will come back and say he wants his ball after the. Oh, that would be the parallel to the $200. Yeah, I came to get my ball. Mark, I love that. Love the ring sound of the Beskar spear. Yeah, when they take the Beskar, he pounds it off of his wrist, forearm, and the ring that it makes. It was fantastic. I got your own MV emoji. Yeah, I'm one of the big fish. I don't know if I'm a big fish or not. I appreciate the sentiment, though, Mark. That's good. So anyway, I want to kind of get to the end here. And here we get another fantastic scene reminiscent of when in Paper Moon he takes the girl to his aunt and they have this separation moment. I almost think that this is the Paper Moon ending right here, where he goes to deliver the child to Ahsoka. Ahsoka says, "I'm not right for this, right? But I want you to take him." We're going to talk about this in just a moment. I want you to take him to Tython, and there's an ancient Jedi temple, and I captured that text. So he spends this touching moment with the child, very much father-son. He's getting him dressed, knowing that he's going to have to turn him over to Ahsoka. She had promised to take him on, and he's having this separation moment, and he's taking his good old time getting the child ready. Very emotional. This scene is very, very emotional. You see just the love that Din has now for the child. This responsibility he begrudgingly took. Now he's got this deep affection for the child that has grown over time. And it started early on, sure, when he turned over the child and then went back to get him, broke the order, the bounty hunter's code to go get the child. But that's where it started. But here you see just the amount of affection that he has for the child, to be turning him over to Ahsoka, and they're going to be separated. But then it doesn't happen. So to me, this felt like almost the Paper Moon ending. We may get another one, but we'll see. And here I captured this. This is, whoops, I'm going to go back a page. So Ahsoka tells him there's one possibility left. Take him to the planet Tython, and we're gonna talk about that just a little bit here. You will find an ancient ruins of a temple that has a strong connection to the Force. Place Grogu on the Seeing Stone at the top of the mountain, and then Grogu may choose his path. If he reaches out through the Force, there's a chance a Jedi may sense his presence and come searching for him. That is right there at where we're headed. This has the Star Wars community in a buzz, and there's a lot of talking about where they're going to go with it. Right? When's Thrawn coming in? Is Boba Fett coming back? What happened to Moff Gideon, who has a tracker on? Remember, he's got the tracker on the Razor Crest. Moff Gideon's got those Dark Troopers. Where are they? Where are they going to come back? We only have 3 episodes left in this season, and all of this is certainly going to build to some sort of conclusion. And are we going to make it in this next episode to Tython? Is Grogu going to then? And I've already seen a leak of the short description. It says Grogu searches himself for his identity. And so I think that we're probably going to end up on Tython. Again, my speculation video will be on Thursday. We'll go into the full details of my predictions. But the speculation will be then. But I think they are going to make it to Tython in the next episode. And who is going to respond? And here we go. I told you I would come back to it. We would discuss who are the possible people that might come back. And again, Star Wars Meg did a great video of it. She made a list of them. I added 1 or 2 to the list. The first is perhaps the most obvious, Luke Skywalker. Would Luke Skywalker be the Jedi who returns? And I have been predicting it. If you've been following me on this channel, I've been predicting since before the first episode this season that we're going to be on this journey following Luke Skywalker, and that we're going to get an appearance of Mark Hamill as a cameo. I know a lot of people have talked about the fan casting and how that other actor, he has the looks to play a younger Luke Skywalker, but I'm actually speculating that we're going to get a cameo from Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, and they're going to de-age him. So that's my speculation, but there's a couple others that Meg went through that I'll throw out here as well. The second would be Leia Organa Solo. So Leia has been trained by Luke at this point, following Return of the Jedi, and so she's going through her training. It could be Leia that hears Grogu and goes to search him out. Although with the situation with Carrie Fisher, I very much discount that possibility. The third one that Meg listed was Cal Kestis. Here we go. Cal Kestis fits very well into the storyline from Jedi Fallen Order video game. He fits into the timeline. He fits into the training. They just need to do a little bit of introduction for who he is, because he could be the one that responds. So I think there's a very, very strong possibility Cal Kestis. He becomes my second choice. Luke Skywalker first, Cal Kestis second. Third would be Ezra Bridger. This has been popular. Josh Lucas of Den of Nerds has been speculating we're going to get Ezra Bridger this season. I don't think so. I think they're leaving that for the Rebels follow-up season, where they're going to be the search for Ezra Bridger, and I don't think he's going to show up here. So I could be wrong. This is where I'm kind of putting a flag in the hill, and we'll see if it gets taken. So I don't think it's going to be Ezra Bridger. The next one could be Mace Windu. Mace Windu, I think there's a strong case for him still being alive, and that he could show up. We know that there's a big kind of surge for that in the fan community to see Mace Windu. It'll be a bit of a redemption for Mace, if you ask me, because the Clone Wars animated series showed just how much Mace was also caught in that delusion. And he wasn't a nice guy. All right, Mace Windu was not the most upstanding Jedi that you had. Sure, he's powerful. Sure, he's iconic. But I think that's mostly based off of the actor and not the character. He did a few things that really, really set me off and kind of turned me against him. So I'm not in favor of being Mace Windu, but I think that's a possibility. The next one is Yaddle, which I mentioned. She may have been the one that took Grogu out of the temple. But it could be Yaddle that hears and goes back. She would have been involved in some of the training with Grogu. And she could be, that motherly figure. She may indeed be his mother that helps nurture him back. So that's possible. Star Wars Meg said that she thought Maz Kanata. I discount that right off the bat. I don't think it would be Maz. The last one is that it could be Force Ghost Yoda, and that's possible. Although I'm not leaning toward it. So for me, number one's Luke Skywalker, second Cal Kestis, and then third would be Force Ghost Yoda, and then the others way down the line. With obviously the most probable being Luke and Cal Kestis. And the ones after that fall off for me very, very quickly. So let me get caught up here. Mark, I hope it's Luke. Then there's more chance we get Mara Jade. I agree with you, Mark. And I actually like what you mentioned before, that Mara Jade could have been emissary taken as the Emperor's hand and taken Grogu from the temple. That makes a ton of sense. So it's possible. And it would lead into the PTSD effects that he's had as we learn what happened to him with Mara Jade. So, and it starts to build that Luke backstory. And as we're already getting Thrawn in the Filoniverse via loose retelling of the Zahn trilogy, which a lot of us dreamed about for decades. Exactly, Mark. For me, the Timothy Zahn trilogy was the sequel trilogy for 20 years. Literally 20 years. Wu-Tang, I agree they'll go de-aging route for Luke and Winded. Yeah, I think they'll go de-aging and bring Mark Hamill in as that cameo. And just another interesting part here, and it came out in that interview with Rosario Dawson. Look, George Lucas has been involved with The Mandalorian all the way through. He's on the set all the time. He's there all the time. He's advising them all the time. He's there frequently. He's not directing. He's not leading, but he is certainly involved. And it wouldn't surprise me to see eventually him direct an episode of The Mandalorian. Dale, me too. I think they're going to bring a lot of EU into the story and play out Luke's frustrations with rebuilding the Jedi Order. I agree. Will, and he could teach Grogu to remember. Besides, Cal loves him some Jedi temples. Yeah, Cal Kestis does love him some Jedi temples for sure. The Fallen Order video game. Yeah, it could absolutely be that. And Grogu needs to go through this PTSD thing, right? He needs to reconnect to his memories, and we learn the backstory, and that could be a fantastic episode. It could be the very next one. We'll see. Mando's plot plays out like a video game. You got a trophy. It could be. Drew, Luke makes sense to me. Perhaps the real reason he went into exile. Grogu stays with Mando while the Empire hunts for Luke. So that's the next question you bring up here, Drew, is what happened to then Grogu? If he did rejoin Luke, some people are speculating perhaps that he was one of the ones that was killed by Ben Solo. But I tend to not think that's the case. I think that, again, following Paper Moon, we will see that Grogu decides to stay with Din, and that he will go on a different path. And during the sequel trilogy, he's in another part of the galaxy involved with something else entirely. And that goes with what Josh has been talking about, that they're working. I think the Filoniverse is going to fall in step with the sequel trilogy. I don't think it's going to retcon it or put it into some multiverse situation. I think we're just going to find out the universe is much, much larger, and there's a lot more going on in the universe than what we followed in the sequel trilogy, and that we may be involved with some sort of activities on Mandalore or in the unexplored regions, or with the Chiss ascendancy. There could be a whole series of things that are happening that coincide with the sequel trilogy, and Grogu is involved out there. And I think that's very, very possible, as well as Ahsoka. Reaverman, you're back. Good. Dale, this is where the switch begins, the Empire's remnants to the Fallen Order. Exactly. Drew, it's a great theory. It was with Luke. Yeah. Could Thrawn have been the one to have taken Grogu initially? I don't think so, Russell. I think that Thrawn is involved elsewhere during the original trilogy. I think there's a very strong argument to be made that Thrawn and Ezra were taken to the unknown regions, where into more of the Chiss regions. And there's actually some leaks out there in Reddit that go into a great deal of detail what could be happening in the Chiss ascendancy with Thrawn and Ezra during the entire original trilogy era. And that if that comes to fruition and we see that come into play, it would explain exactly what's going on during that era. And Thrawn would be in the Chiss region, and that's where Ezra is as well. I think that's most likely. Will, I feel there are two armies being mustered. Everyone will show for final battle. Boy, we are building up to something major for sure. Xavier, Lucas directing Hamill would be amazing. I agree. And I don't know that it would happen this season. We've already seen who the writers, directors are for season 2, but it could absolutely happen in season 3 for sure. Mark, imagine Samuel L. Jackson gets to be a clone, crazy, evil Mace Windu. No, he doesn't have to be a clone version there, Mark. He could just be a crazy, evil, damaged Mace Windu. Yeah, or as a George Sabaoth type character, new version of Zahn story. Yeah, it could be. But leave him alone. Let him just be the damaged Mace Windu who got chucked out the window, right? Yeeted off the out of the window there. He'd be amazing to get the big bad crazy Jedi. Yeah. Maybe in time for Christmas. Yeah. Thanks, Mark Hamilton. Pleasure to be in your company. I learned so much on this channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Drew. I appreciate the call out there. So let's get back here. I just wanted to show there's one more slide to put together. The artwork. If you're not watching after the credits or during the credits, you're missing some great content. And just the concept art for each episode is fantastic. So I put together a collage here of all of the scenes, and you kind of see that the kung fu type movies, the influences there. Just some great artwork that's worth watching at the end of each of these episodes. And I know they're getting ready to release season 1 artwork book that will be a fantastic coffee table collectible. Absolutely great. So look, I enjoyed going into this deep dive. There's a ton to be taken from here. I'm looking forward to going to Tython. Now, Tython, that's where, again, we go back to some of the early novels and some of the other content that came out of comics and video games. And we could end up with Tython. That's where the Ashla and Bogan, those moons were. And in at least the lore, in early Jedi training, this is where balance came from. If you went too far to the light side, you would go spend some time meditating on Bogan, the moon that represented the dark side, so that you would come back into balance. And if you went too far into the dark side, they would send you to Ashla, and you would spend some time meditating in the light side so you could return back to balance. And that's what we see through this planet of Tython in the ancient Jedi temple. So that concept is very, very intriguing, because there's another thought that says balance is just using the light side energy, no dark. But this idea of balance being this equal amount of light and dark that was represented in the Ashla and Bogan, the moons of Tython, would be interesting to come back. Yeah. It's tomorrow. Yeah. The art of books. Yeah. They're fantastic. Vader has been to Tython. Yeah. With Afra. Right. The Afra novel. So I've been, again, listening to these novels. I did listen to the Afra novel. Not my favorite novel, by the way. There is a lot of interaction there with Dr. Afra and Vader, but it's told in a style of first person narrating to her journal. And just that interaction to me was odd. I'm not a huge fan of the character traits of Dr. Afra either. I know she's tremendously popular, A lot of Star Wars fans have loved her character in the comics and novel. She's just not my cup of tea, but I get it. It would be good to see her show up. Only thing I asked for Christmas. Can't wait to read it through. Okay, well, Mark, we'll have to see if we can get you one of those art of books. That would be great. All right, Will, you got to go. I know we're really, really late. We had that internet interruption. I enjoyed going into this deep dive. Thank you all for being here. And I do have one story to tell you on the way out. And if you're on Discord, you may have already seen it. But I had the opportunity yesterday to go visit a young girl. Grandmother wanted me to come. They were having a bit of a family get together, and they wanted me to come to say Merry Christmas and hello to her granddaughter. And of course, with all of the thing going on with the pandemic, there's concern about doing in-person visits in people's homes, especially where you've got other family members coming in. So we did this visit. It was outside on the porch, and they had a bench set up out there where they could take pictures and people could stand behind, and you could still observe some safe measures while getting these pictures. So I'm at this home visiting. Santa came, and the girl was super, super excited. She's like 4 years old. And she was bouncing around. She kept running around and telling people, Santa's here, Santa's here. And she was coming up, Santa, I'm so happy to see you. She was just thrilled to death and going everywhere. So we took some pictures, and I turned to her and I said, do you know what you would like for Christmas? And she said, yeah. I said, oh, well, what would you like? And she said, I want canned spaghetti. She jumped up and she clapped her hands and smiled, just proclaimed canned spaghetti. And I said, oh my goodness, you want canned spaghetti for Christmas? She goes, yeah. I said, well, that's the first time Santa has ever been asked for canned spaghetti for Christmas present by a young girl. And her mom says, well, don't you also want a Barbie dream house? She says, yeah. But just the canned spaghetti, that goes on my list of favorites. That a young child, that was what she was most excited for, wanted Santa to bring her for Christmas. So wanted to share that with you. As I get these examples through the season, I'll be happy to share them with you. Some of them I can't share because kids say some things that you don't want to repeat. And I'll tell you too that there are some naughty mothers out there who come and say things in Santa's ear that they shouldn't say. They try to get Santa off guard, and it happens way too frequently. So this story was great to tell. I want to share it with you all, and we'll continue to do that through the season. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. I can't wait to talk to you again about more Star Wars. And until then, Merry Christmas, everyone. Bye-bye.